Welcome to the Excel for Business series brought to you by the Virginia Beach Public Library with your host, Jeanne Hutchins. Today we'll be exploring and creating pivot tables. Pivot tables can sort and help you analyze data without complex formulas. You can easily arrange and summarize reports. I call it the Hercules of Excel. What is a pivot table? Basically, it's a table that we'll use to summarize large chunks of data. Your spreadsheet uses column headers. That's a hint to convert your data to a table. When should we use a pivot table? We use it because it's so much easier than anything we can attempt to create. It lets us take volumes of data and extrapolate, sort, summarize, focus on smaller pieces. We can sum it up, count, and do more without the use, as I said, of complex formulas. And how do we create a pivot table? That's what we're going to show you. So Excel can expand to over 1 million rows and over 16,000 columns. When we want to make reports on a table this large, pivot tables are the answer. Use it when you have a simple worksheet where rows are for a single data point and there are column headers with no empty cells or blank rows and no data surrounding the worksheet. To demonstrate, I have a nice file that I think you'll like, and it's Nicole's Chocolate Delights. Now, this is just a file I made up. None of these people really exist, but this is a huge table, as you can see. It has headers, which become very important in our pivot table. And you can see that it is for candy, all kinds of candy and pretzels, baked goods. And so this is like a customer order list. And we have the quantity that they purchased, the price they paid per box, the cost of how much it costs to make that, and then the gross product and the net profit. When we're going to actually make a pivot table, we're going to go to Insert, and then all the way on the left, you'll see recommended. We see pivot table and recommended pivot tables. I'll click on recommended, and here it's Excel always tries to think for us. So it tries to come up with what they think we might want to see in our pivot table, and we might. So let's look at them. First one is sum of price, box by city. That certainly is helpful. You can see all the cities listed and then the boxes that were purchased, but you don't see what the items were. And here we have sum of inventory costs by state. So we have the states over here and then what it costs to make those boxes. Again, no item names. Here we have the sum of the gross profit, the sum of the net profit. These are all nice. Here's more what I think I might want to see. Let's take a look at that one. So it shows the customer's name, it shows their email, but I still don't see. I guess if we were to open it up, if we were to select it, it would show the price as well. Let's start with the blank pivot table. So over here on the right are my pivot table fields, same as our headers, first name, last name, email, all the way down to quantity, inventory, item number, the profit and the net profit and the gross profit. So first I'm going to actually put my items in the rows. Let's see what that's going to look like. Okay, so now we see what we're selling. I'll put my gross profit in the values and my net profit underneath that. So it shows side by side. And then if I wanted to break it up and maybe I'll put my zip code as a filter. See, as I'm choosing them, I'm checking them and then just dragging them down here in this area. And that's creating the data here. So if I want to see by zip code, I can click on my filter. I can select multiple items or deselect. And let's just look at 23452. Let's see what we have there. Okay, so we see we have just the 23452 Virginia Beach. And we can see they ordered 4 different boxes of things. and there's the gross profit and the net. Go back, you can see I'm sorting, I'm filtering on this. You see the funnel, you see that little dot there. So I'm going to go back and select all. I didn't lose any data. Everything's still there. And when I go back and select all, I have all my items, all my customers are showing there. Now, if I needed to know a little bit more about it, maybe I want to know the city. I can put the actual name of the city in here with the item numbers. I might want to put that above it though. 1 second, let me grab that. I click it, and so it did go below it. So I have my items on top, the cities inside. Okay, as you can see, apple yogurt covered pretzels. Hmm. Well, a few cities, they're not so bad. I mean, they're selling. um, and here I have down here caramel covered pretzels or caramel. Do you say caramel or do you say caramel? I have chocolate brownies with M&Ms, chocolate brownies with Reese's Pieces, and chocolate brownies with walnuts. Goodness, I have a sweet tooth. So it's all 32. So anyway, here we have all the way down at the bottom the strawberry yogurt covered pretzels. They're pretty popular too. Um, but this is what my pivot table does. It allows me to take the information that was on here, which really was, let's see, that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 columns. And I believe it was 88 rows. It allows me to take all that information and make sense out of it, make some kind of report. If I had to report on what was the best seller, I can do that. I can look at what cities are certainly buying the most, or what items are most popular. With our pivot table, we can also insert a slicer if you are interested in making dashboards. Still, we could enter put in a slicer, and let's just use inventory item. Okay, and let's let that come up. Okay, so I'm going to slide this over. You notice I lost all my pivot table fields. Once I click back on it, it comes back. It's only because if I click away, it kind of disappears, but it's always there. Okay, here's my pivot table. And also, we could we could have transposed it, had the items like the apple yogurt covered pretzels going across in the columns. It's just that it gets a little unwieldy. So here, if I just want to see again here, I can use my slicer and click on my. Just going to click on not apple yogurt. Let me pick something down here that I can't see with my. Oh, here. Let's try the sea salt pretzels. Okay, so those aren't doing as well as planned, as expected, actually. We haven't sold that many of those. But how about the Himalayan salt? Mm, even less. Okay. 135 versus 460. Yeah, they're not doing so big. Maybe we'll discontinue those items. Surprisingly, the apple yogurt covered pretzels seem to be taking off. But that's just an example of what you can do with a slicer. Okay. And you can do a slicer on every single thing that you want, you know. Let me go back over here to our pivot table for a second. Because see where it says sum of gross profit and sum of net, that's currency. So I can change that by clicking on it, that little down arrow, and go to value field settings, click on number format, and change it to currency. Okay, and okay. So that changed my profit, my gross profit. Let's do the same for the net profit. Value field settings, number format, currency, okay, and okay. So now that looks more like a report, okay. And these little, see these little minus signs? I can compress this just like that. And when I click on these, it compresses my report. So I may not have to show the cities if I don't want to. I can compress them. I'm not losing any information. And it's just sort of hiding it. So I'm basically compressing them. So now I have just the items again. All right. So simple to just open them back up with that, with the open, by clicking on the plus sign. Okay. Really nice and easy there. Now I'm going to open them all up because I want to show you the reports that we can generate, what our reports would look like. So while I'm in my pivot table, I can click on pivot table analyze, and it gives you some here, insert slicer. We can give you our pivot table a name. This is pivot table 4. We can actually go all the way over to the right and see the field list. We can show field headers. We definitely want to have these headers in there. In the design, however, we can decide that we don't want subtotals, or like do not show subtotals, grand totals. We want them for the rows only, or maybe for the columns only. I don't see them there. So let's put those subtotals at the bottom of the group. And there you go. That's a little better. I like it like that at the bottom. Okay, so let me get back up here in design. We have our report layout. You can show it in compact form, which is close to what this is right now. Okay, so this is outline form. And here's tabular form. Okay, and the other options are repeat all items, but that's a little too busy for, you don't have to have that. So let's not repeat item labels. We can appreciate some white space in the report. If I wanted to know more about my customers, I could also pull their information if I wanted to know, like, first and last names. But again, it could get a little busy. But if I needed to know, and then there's the total for each customer, you can do that differently though. And instead of having the city, let's put them over here. Take the city off for a second. Again, it's kind of tight. As you can see, ashy and then ashy total. Because every person who bought these apple yogurt covered pretzels is going to be listed here. And then their total, their subtotal, total and subtotal. As well as, of course, the gross and the net profit here. So maybe I'll take this off. I don't have to have the gross profit on there. As you can see, I would like to see what each person purchased. So maybe, I don't know if I want a slicer for that. Let's try to, I thought we take out the first name. And we just use the last name. It's not as busy. So we have to work with your pivot table for it to make sense for you and for it to actually be readable. Know what you're trying to get. This way you can sort of see what the customers ordered what. Um, and in fact, it might be, hmm, I don't see my inventory items. Oh, yeah, there they go. If I put them over here, you can see it another way. It spreads out pretty far. That's the only issue. Okay, I'm going to put that back over here. I put it under them. Now you can see better what each customer, all the things that each customer ordered. So it takes a little playing with. You have to play with it a little bit and see which ones you like, which way you like it. And then, of course, again, you can go up in design and look at your, well, maybe I want it in tabular, maybe I want it in outline. See, there's no lines there. It's very nice and neat. Um, or it is still a table and you can design it as such with your table design tools right here. You can do something like that. All right. So pivot tables are really helpful in sorting or extrapolating information from huge chunks of data. The benefits of using a pivot table: we can get answers from data without creating complex formulas. We can see the correlations between data, and it's very easy to visualize. So for further exploration, we have LinkedInLearning.com, formerly Lynda.com, and Universal Class. Both are accessible through the Virginia Beach Public Library's website and require your library account information to log in. GCFLearnFree.org and the Virginia Wesleyan University both offer free basic classes. Virginia Wesleyan does require registration, but they offer basic classes on Office 365. Also, check out our event calendar on the Virginia Beach Public Library site to see upcoming classes, not only in Excel, but Word and other vital programs for business and personal success. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll check out the others in the series. Until next time, this is Jeanne Hutchins, wishing you every success.